Hello, Phil Dodyk. How you doing?
Doing great. Thanks, Jim. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being here. I'm excited to talk to you about trades holding. You do something really cool. Most of my guests have a home service business, and many of them started it from the ground up, and they're moving along in their business. And we talk about the trials and tribulations. You come from a little bit of a different angle. You have a whole bunch of businesses in the trades, hence, I guess, the name Trades Holding, right? And I'm really interested in learning more about how you approach the business. And also, we came together through Tommy Mello's Home Service Freedom. So I want to kind of tie that in because I find it fascinating because I know that you love to learn from other greats, and you can learn a lot from franchisees in a franchise system, which you work within, but you can learn so much more from other greats that have done things outside that type of system.
Yeah, absolutely. Great question. So, Trades Holding, as you said, operates as a franchisee inside the
Mm.
neighborly system. Mr. Rooter, plumbing, excavation, Mr. Electric, rainbow restoration, and then air serv. And the business trades has a great origin story. So, 1994, gentleman named Jim Ebley, essentially over a handshake and a $100,000 IOU, bought a Mr. Rooter in Lake County, Cleveland, Ohio, that was doing about $10,000 a week of revenue. He brought on a great team. They built up a great operation, got it to about $6, $7 million. And at some point around '06, '07, '08, Jim's daughter, Megan Ebley, and then married Megan McKay, came into the picture. She was in her early mid 20s, came back into the family business. I know she fondly remembered, her dad waking up late at night taking calls and just being excited about helping grow the business. And so that's what she did. They added from the Mr. Rooter origins, Mr. Electric. They went from Cleveland to Columbus. They added a water mitigation business, and they grew it very nicely. Grew it to a size of close to $50 million of revenue in 2022. So a great run, absolutely a great run. And they grew to be the largest franchisee of Mr. Rooter inside the neighborly system, and a good top five, Mr. Electric, and got to the point where they wanted to monetize. They wanted a succession plan. And so they did that. They found a great partner, a firm called CPC, which is based in Kansas City, that they felt matched on values, matched on long-term vision, matched on helping take care of the team. And so in 2023, they decided to sell the business to CPC. Megan stayed on as an advisor, a board member. She rolled equity into the go forward, and raised her hand and said, "I don't want to be the CEO for the next phase, but would love to be part of that upside." And so CPC came in late 23, and we're looking for a CEO. I knew them from some time that I spent in aviation. They had a portfolio company in that space, and I was in that space, and the timing just lined up. And so in January 1, I started as the CEO of Trades, which essentially means to serve, support everything that the operational leaders, the operational team is doing, day in and day out, visiting 1,400 homes a week. And to help put in place some systems, policies, foundation, bring in some extra leadership, et cetera, to take the business from 50 million to hopefully, 4, 5, 6 times that size. And to your second part of the question, as we were looking inside the neighborly system, there are some phenomenal operators inside each brand, and we wanted to complement that with what we observed outside the neighborly system. You mentioned Tommy,
Mm-hmm.
Ken Goodrich, Paul Kelly, Aaron Gaynor, what the Chad and Tyler Peterman have done, and there's a long there's a group there that have built these 9-figure businesses, have done something really, really special. And I think to me and to a lot of folks who are in this space, they're a huge source of energy, inspiration, learnings, trials, errors, et cetera. And we're fortunate that they produce so much content like you produce, and put on these conferences. And so we went out to Tommy's conference in San Diego and really enjoyed that, and continue to absorb as much as we can from those folks every day.
Yeah, you mentioned Ken Goodrich from Gettle, and of course Tommy Mello, A1 Garage Door Service. They're not typical. Most home service companies will never get to that size. it takes a certain type of person. And of course, they have to put in the systems and the drive. They can't make excuses. And, it's a big push. What did you learn that you didn't already know when you went to San Diego to visit these greats at Home Service Freedom?
Yeah. Great. We came away from there. And similarly, went to Pantheon, we went to the neighborly reunion. You come out of these conferences, you kind of want to run through a brick wall. And it's not necessarily because of something, specialized to, one of the trades that we're operating in, but just from a mindset standpoint. A lot of the Keith Mercurio and Jocko and, the folks that come and speak, and Tommy, that speak at these conferences, it is just to inspire folks to get through the messiness and the challenges and the things that just pop up and have some really big, ambitious goals, and then work backwards from there and actually go do something, the next day, the next week to start, feeling that little bit of incremental progress. And so it was more just that, and to see the energy from thousands of people all gathering to, share stories about the challenges that they're going through, but also just be exceedingly optimistic about, just keeping at it, what could be accomplished. So I was left with a ton of energy, and I probably underestimated the amount of energy and inspiration that I would, walk out of there with.
Yeah, a lot of energy, inspiration, there's no question. A great place to network. So for someone like yourself, it's a great way to meet people who've done things and follow up later. And also something else, a lot of great vendor partners there, which help the home service professional with their business. I've been going to conferences in the home service world for decades. And Tommy's first event was Vertical Track, which was for his garage door business. And he did a few of those. And then he's done now 2 of these Home Service Freedom events, one in Orlando in 2023, 2024 in San Diego. And a new one's been announced, Las Vegas 2025. And they're just fantastic events. And I can't think of a better person running it than someone who's done what he's done, because something unique about Tommy, and you may know this, is that he decided to seek out the Ken Goodrich's who've done well in their respective businesses, and pretty much said, I want to come see what you've done. I want to do what you've done for the garage door industry. And he's pushed a number of vendors to upgrade their system to allow garage doors to be part of it, like Service Titan. And so he's just done a lot of things that are bold. And I can't think of a better place than to go to a Home Service Freedom event and see what someone has done blazing the trail and hasn't stopped.
Yeah.
Tommy, he's 41 years old, so he's young. And he's still moving ahead, and he attracts great people. So I commend you on going to the event.
Yeah. Thanks. And I'm very grateful that they make it available to everybody. And the thing too that they harp on, and we're spending a lot of time on right now. In our first year, we've done 4 acquisitions and brought in 8 new leaders and entered 2 new brands. And you go out and listen to these types, you're at these conferences, what you come back with is, a feeling that, hey, there are foundational things, systems, processes, manuals, leadership development, training and development, all those things, the recruiting function, the marketing function, all these things have to be constantly kind of worked on and thought about as is this scalable? Can this handle the next $5 million acquisition that we do? Can this handle the next, 100 people that come into this? Do we have enough leadership development to support 100 new technicians, et cetera? And so getting inspired to, go invest in a career development academy that, we're standing up 10,000 square feet of hands-on training so that we can grow our own and provide recurrent training, and adding to that, the leadership development, so that that layer of leadership, every 6 or 7 service professionals has that mentor for those critical one-on-one coaching sessions, feedback sessions, and developing them on a job average and the conversion rate and their safety and their all of those elements. Those are the limiting factors to get from where we're at to where we want to go. And what I love is that that's never lost in what the bigger companies, the guys who've built their businesses to that size are talking about, is that going through that moment where you had to have some folks that they didn't just stay at the company because they were great producers. They were also great for the culture. They were also bought into the system. They also, wanted to improve themselves personally, professionally, financially. And when they didn't have the system, how much they were finding themselves kind of drawn into, the fray and into and kind of finding a way to go from that day to day to extracting out, putting something in place, helping somebody else developing and taking that on, and then being able to scale to that next level. So I give, Jim Ebley and Megan McKay and the group that, did it at Trades, Len Dolly, Steve Kelly, the whole group, to go from $10,000 a week to $1.5 million a week has been, incredible journey. And, this effort that we're now putting into it to help, continue growing that, it's exciting. It's hard. There's 15, 20 things I'm super proud of what we're doing, but there's always 10 or 15 things, every day that we're working really hard on just to fix and improve.
Yeah, Phil, before you got into this business, what did you think about home service?
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. So, one of the reasons why this was a space that I was interested in is, my wife and I moved to Indianapolis, 3-4 years ago. We bought a 100-year-old home. We were doing a big renovation in the home, and we had a pretty traumatic, experience with a contractor, which was putting a bunch of money down to someone that we were referred to, and it wasn't one of these real established brands. There was a lot of the ones that we've talked about and things that we take pride in today. And, a few weeks go by and you get the confrontation that the money's gone and the job is only, partially sort of underway. And so you had this significant investment that you've made, you trusted some folks, and you got duped. We got duped.
Yeah.
And so there was, a moment that, was a big life lesson that we went through. We didn't ever want that to happen, again, for us or for any of our, communities that we're in. And so, I was in a kind of entrepreneurial stage and looking for potentially a business to start or potentially to acquire. Really, I would say, found appealing the contractors that came in and helped us get through that and started to get interested in the space. And as I was, looking, happened to have this conversation with CPC that said, hey, we've acquired this platform that's got a great story, 30 years, great foundation, and we want to grow it. And so how those stars aligned, it depends on what you believe in, but they did align. And I was able to kind of leapfrog, I suppose, a lot of the, early days of either starting something on myself or buying something really small and growing it, and just join them, and take, essentially an equity CEO role and join a great team and have the resources and support from them to help, continue to strengthen that team. But it was that, that experience, and wanting to, find a way for that not to happen, to someone else. And so, as we're going into 50,000 or so customers in a year's homes, and we have populations in our zip codes that are about 12.5 million people now. You think about our kind of area of the Ohio Valley, that could be 20, 25 million people in those zip codes at some point. That's a lot of folks that you can, just help them solve a lot of problems and doing it the right way. And then also help train and develop and recruit, great contractors and great young service professionals and give them a career. And, beyond just the technical skills, teach the values and all those things to go into the home and do it the right way and then stand behind them. So that's how it, became interesting for me. And then, since I've been involved for the last 11 or 12 months, it's been a fire hose. But I've just been, amazed and appreciative at the amount of, kind of podcast content or open doors that are out there from other contractors, the engagements with Neighborly and other folks in the space, just to learn at a fast pace. So that's how.
Yeah. I love that story. It's interesting. The story you just talked about, where you and your wife had a problem with contractors, or a contractor maybe specifically, to do some work in your home, was really the reason why I wrote this book called Meet Check a Pro Joe. Like your story is my opening chapter about how my wife and I were screwed over by a contractor. So I decided to start this company called Check a Pro, where we pre-qualify contractors. So I totally understand that. And to be able to bring a great product and service, meaning in quality home service, is important, because most homeowners already have a bad feeling about contractors. If you watch the news at night, it's who got ripped off by the HVAC guy, the roofer, the plumber, the electrician, and we're bombarded with this bad news, very little good news, and people don't trust the guy in the truck or the van coming into their home. So yeah, I totally understand that. And that's why I work with the best contractors I can find, to help them grow their business more. But also I feel good about them going out there, doing what they do best, because there are a lot of criminals out there. There just are.
Yeah. I mean, you hear it, you see it, you preach it, how your truck looks, how you look.
Yeah.
Just and just all your body language, all the if you that appearance. I remember actually, one of the guys that leads the training and development at A1 hosted us out there for a tour, and he said that they did kind of their own internal study and said when someone's just appearance and initial impression, uniform to the nines, and smile on their face and great energy and present and focused, they kind of did their own math to say that results in a 25% higher job average than someone who's being lax or inconsistent on some of those things that everything communicates, right? And so those things that establish that first impression, whether you're early building trust or having to kind of catch up from behind later in the call. But what was sad about this one was they did earn the trust. Yes. And then we transacted, and then it quickly went away. But no, I appreciate you sharing that.
Yeah, no, that's true. Being part of a franchise system is also very beneficial for let's say the technicians specifically in this instance, where if it's done right, the franchisor has a system that needs to be followed. It really does. Now, if that system is broken, then there's a problem, because everything gets broken after, right? It's like McDonald's, one of the best franchise systems ever. When you go to any McDonald's, at least in the United States of America for sure, everything is the same. That's why you stop there and say, I'm going to have the fries, the Big Mac, and the Coke, because I know what it's going to taste like. And, it's a system like that. Do you find that having the right systems at the front of it, at the franchisor level, dropping down to the franchisee level, is beneficial? Does it work? Or is it okay for franchisees to change the system? Which I know what the franchisor says. They're like, don't change our system. You bought into it, right? This is what works. But now that you've been in this for a while, are there things that you're like, gosh, I'd really like to change that if I could?
Yeah, that's a great question. The system absolutely matters. And, perfect world, you've got the exact same call happening the exact same way every single time. But I do think there's, a little bit of personalization and customization type things that happen in a complementary way. And so you're, fulfilling the core values, and you're walking through kind of a sales and service process. You're standing behind the work. And There are different variations to do that, even inside of Neighborly across some of the different brands. And so just having an active engagement with other strong operators in the system and coaches inside the system, and then taking in the external input that we're able to go out and absorb. We're fortunate that CPC's worked with a really strong operator in a franchise model before. It was a company called KBP, and they operated over 900 KFCs in that system.
Wow.
And so similarly, they would look at that and say, I'll bet you $100 that any store you go into at 9 a.m., this is what you're going to see. And so we absolutely aspire to have a level of consistency that's very noticeable, but it's a process. And that's why we're training every day, and that's why we're helping the field managers and field leaders just work with their teams on specific feedback. We use Rilla Voice for coaching and calls,
great.
And just a number of things to help give them the tools to establish that consistency. But I'd say it's the level of difficulty to do it is quite high.
I know it's a commitment, and it's the problem is people. That's the problem. If everybody was robots, it'd be easy, right? If we were all computers, we'd just do what we were programmed to do. The biggest problem, I have a friend who says people are the problem. And it's true, right? We all are different. And we aren't the same personality types, right? Some people are, night owls. Some people get up early in the morning. Some people are aggressive. Some people aren't. There's all kinds of different personalities. So it's important to fit the right person in the right position, and then make sure they follow the plan. And then you got a great business model.
Yeah. I've been surprised. I spent about 9 years in aviation. So turned around a struggling, private jet operation in Northwest Indiana. There was kind of a toxic relationship there between, the pilot group and the management group. That was challenging. We worked through that, and, ended up with, it was a smaller business, but it was a more profitable business, and the culture was really strong on the other side. And we exited and ended up in a bigger aviation company. And then you get to work with, 800 or 1,000 pilots and mechanics, and, finding ways for them to, never want to leave, right?
Mm-hmm.
To just love, where they are. And retention's really hard in that space. It's really, really hard in this space as well. And so, there's this combination of just, constant training, development, understanding everybody's kind of personal desires and goals and ambitions, and working with them to achieve them. And there's this other element, which is not a fun element, but I think the field leaders ultimately appreciate it, which is, if someone doesn't want to personally, professionally, financially get better, then maybe they can't be part of, what we're building. And so you got to empower them to help give them everything they can, to be successful at trades. But if they can't, then we got to find somebody else to take care of those calls and take care of those customers, and be positive to the team. So that's a daily grind, and we're at 385 people now. If we're going to get to the size that we want to be, which will be north of 1,000 people, it's essential that we just have very clear and supportive processes and systems in place to do that. Otherwise, it'll shake on the rails, or we won't get there.
Yep. It's a team. That's why I like to call it a team. People say I've got employees. Employees sound very individualized. When you say my team members, so you've got members within the whole group that's the team moving forward. And that's the critical thing. If you talk to greats like Tommy Mello, we talked about, it's all about the team members, about the people business. If someone asks me what business I'm in, or if I ask you what your business is, we should all answer, we're in the people business. Because unless machines are buying what we're selling, we're not, in the people business. I mean, that's what we do. We have people to help people. And that's the way it is. Phil, this has been awesome. Can I have you back on the podcast again in the future?
I'd love it. Thank you so much. Really enjoyed it. Appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you, Phil.